Hi, I'm Sherry and this is Gardening in the North, and today we're planting our pepper seeds. Now, in my mind, I think that when you start planting your pepper seeds, that is the beginning of the season. Now, I've already done some herbs and I've done all of my onions, but I really didn't feel like it was the beginning of my gardening season until today. So last year I waited to plant my pepper seeds until March 15th, same day that I did my tomato seeds. And one of the things that I noticed that I wanted to change this year was I really didn't have as long of a growing period that I needed. And so what I mean by that is I waited to plant my pepper plants outside until I think it was about the second weekend of June. And the reason I did that is because I just didn't feel like they were big enough and strong enough to really move outside. So last year I made a decision that I was going to start my pepper seeds a month earlier than my tomato seeds. Now, what that means is that I'm going to have a whole month extra of growing time for my pepper plants so that I can prune them, get them nice and strong, nice and bushy before I plant them outside. Let's talk a little bit about the soil that you're going to be using. First thing that you should know is that you should never ever bring soil in from outside. If you have soil that is in your raised beds or in planters outside, that is not the right soil that you should be using to start your seeds, and you should not be bringing outdoor soil indoors because you don't know what bacteria, what pests that are already in that soil, and you don't want to bring that into your home. You want to try and buy a seed starter mix that has a mixture of vermiculite, perlite, and coconut coir. Those three things together are going to make that seed starter so light and fluffy that when you plant your seeds in it, those roots that are going to start growing that are so fragile in the beginning are going to have an easy time in that aerated soil that you've just provided to them. Now you can buy that all in one as a seed starter mix, or you can make it yourself. It doesn't matter how you do it, whichever you feel that is easier for you. The other thing that I would recommend before filling your containers with that soil is moistening it. You want to make sure that it's nice and moist before putting it into your containers. It gives your seed that extra little bit of a drink that it needs to get going. Now, I just put out a video on cleaning your soil. If you haven't seen that, I will drop that link for you. Please take a look at it. I know that there are a lot of people out there that have had trouble with fungus gnats. And one of the ways to ensure that you don't have this problem is cleaning your soil. Now, I know that sounds crazy. It sounds crazy to me as well, but it works. Before we get talking about the varieties and how I'm going to plant my seeds, let's take a couple seconds to talk about the supplies that you need. So every year I've used these 72 cell trays to plant my seeds, except that every year I struggle with these cells either drying up or staying too wet and growing fungus on top. So what I've decided this year is to use these 3x3 little containers that I got at the dollar store, 15 of them for $1.25. And I'm going to use these. I'm going to throw probably 6-7 seeds in each container, and I'm going to keep probably the 4 strongest and then pot them up into solo cups, into their own individual solo cups, and the other 3 I'll just pull out and put to the side. The other thing that you need that is probably a thorn in every gardener's butt, but it is so necessary in having, are plant markers. And the reason I say that they're so necessary is because you want to know what plant it is that you're planting and where you're planting it before it grows the fruit that it's going to grow. So of course you're going to know that it's a pepper plant, but you're not going to know if it is a hot pepper or a sweet pepper. And this year I am separating all of my hot peppers from my sweet peppers. So for those of you that have been with me for a while now, you know that I actually have 3 gardens on my property. So I have my raised bed garden, which is where I'm going to be putting all of my hot peppers. And then I have my hill garden where all of my sweet peppers will go. And I want to make sure that the right peppers go in the right spots. And the main reason for that is I don't want the hot pepper taste to influence the sweet pepper taste. I want to make sure that they are separated. So if you watched my onion video, you will recall that I showed you how I made these plant markers. I basically bought these jumbo popsicle sticks at the dollar store. I think they were $1 for maybe 18 of them. And I used a Sharpie, wrote the name of the variety on it, and then I sprayed them with Varieties in the hopes that, at the end of the growing season outside, I'll still be able to read what that plant is so that I can then journal whether or not I want to continue growing that variety. Another thing that you need is a spray bottle. I like to spray the top of my soil after I've planted my seeds to make sure that the top is nice and moist. The other thing I use is this handy dandy pencil that I just push my seeds down into the soil and cover them over. After which I put a very thin layer of vermiculite. I find that that helps to keep the fungus down, which is a plus when you're planting a ton of plants. The last thing that I think you absolutely need to have is a heat mat. Okay, let's talk about the hot pepper varieties that I'm going to be growing this year. First one is from KW Backyard Vegetable Garden Seeds, and you can buy these seeds as well off of the Facebook site that Dale has. This is a local company, so if you are in Canada, specifically Ontario, then please check him out. Let's try to buy locally and support all of our friends. So these ones are giant ristas, and I've never tried these before, so I'm quite excited about that. I will be trying I will be growing 2 different kinds of jalapenos. So I'll be doing the Tam jalapeno as well as the Craig Grande jalapeno, both from Baker Creek. I will also be doing Little Blue hot pepper that I got in a seed exchange. Sugar Rush cream. I have heard that these are amazing and I've never tried one before. My understanding is that they are hot like a hot pepper, but also very sweet at the same time, if that's even possible. And of course, I'm going to be doing cayenne peppers because I want to make some powder, as well as I'm going to be growing some of these for my chickens. Sweet pepper time. Now, I have to say before I tell you all of the sweet pepper varieties that I'm going to be planting that I probably am going to butcher some of the names, but we're not here for me to pronounce names properly. We're here to plant seeds. So the first one that I'm going to be planting is Jimmy Nardello sweet pepper. Now I got these in a seed exchange as well and thought I'd never planted these before. Why not try it? The other one from M.I. Gardner is Carno di Toro, which is a red pepper. It almost looks like a skinny banana pepper. It's kind of that size of it. I'm doing Pippin's Golden Honey Sweet Pepper from Baker Creek. Now, I'm also doing Habanada, which I saw Jess on Roots and Refuge grows these, and she said that they're amazing. So I'm going to take her word for it and give these a try. I'm also trying the Leisha pepper because look at how cool and pretty those peppers look. I just think that these would look really nice in a salad or grilled on the barbecue. Of course, I'm doing shishitos because these are amazing to saute up in the pan. Paprika, so that I can make paprika powder. Pepperoncini, so that I can pickle them, and we can use these in salads all winter long. Now, red candy cane peppers, never tried these before, so I thought it would be fun to try these. This one I'm not even going to try. I'm just going to put it up there for you to have a look. The next one is Yellow Monster, and I want you to take a look how big they get. I'm not sure how the plant even holds those up. The other one is Do Esprange. I know I'm butchering that one for sure. And Keystone Resistance Giant from M.I. Gardner. So these are all of the pepper varieties that I'm growing this year. Really excited to try some new things and then to preserve these peppers in new and exciting ways. So let's get planting. So I'm going to fill all of my containers, and then I'm going to start sprinkling the seeds where I want them in each container. Like I mentioned before, I'm going to use my pencil. I'm going to push down where I want them, cover it over with the dirt that's already in the container. Then I'm going to spray them. Then I'm going to actually put a dome over top of these and put these trays onto a heat mat. And I'm going to wait until I start to see some germination before I turn on my lights. Now the heat mat is going to stay on 24/7 until I see germination. Once I see that I have roughly 75% germination on all of my tray, then I'll turn off the heat mat and keep that light on. I think I planted roughly double the amount of peppers that I needed, both for my hot and my sweet variety, in the hopes that they all take and they all germinate so that I can share a lot of the seedlings that I grow with friends and family. Thanks for spending time with me.